All right. Welcome. It is Wednesday. I'm about to get another live stream in before the weekend. Let's do this just because there's nothing else to do. Right? It is hump day. What else do you have to do? Welcome. We may not get a huge crowd, but that's okay. We don't need a huge crowd. They'll see the video eventually. So, I read about this a few days ago, and I decided to take a little while to understand it. And I still don't fully understand it because they don't fully understand it. So that alone, that's bad. That's real bad. We don't know what we're dealing with because the experts don't know what we're dealing with. But they will never suggest that you get rid of your dog. Never. And that is the dangerous part of it all. Because there could be something very deadly being passed through these hideous monsters. And getting rid of your dog is the last piece of advice they will ever give you. So it is up to us to figure things out. Now, we talked about this maybe a year or so ago, right? How soon there would be a disease that runs through dogs that's passed on to humans, and that we would see dog lovers start to drop dead. Now, that is not exactly what is happening, but this new parasite is bad enough. It's pretty ridiculous. Now, it started in Canada. How many people read about this? I mean, you talk about this is some crazy stuff. Extra crazy sauce on this story here. Dog parasite causing cancer-like growths in humans is on the rise in North America. This thing attacks your liver. Your liver is like your most important organ. A rare parasite that causes cancer-like growths in people's livers has started to become increasingly common in North America over the past decade. But here recently, it's on the rise, like big time. Human alveolar, what is this? Echinococcus, right? What in the world? Why would you name something like this? Echinococcus. Unbelievable. Let's call it AE, right? Spare us. Let's call it AE. Before 2013, just 2 human cases of this parasite have been confirmed in North America. Researchers believe it was likely brought to Canada from Europe. Now, this is deceptive. Let's not deal with this. Let's deal with the more recent article that identified this parasite in the United States. No disrespect to the Canadians. Hey, you know, I feel sorry for these people who are not dog nuts, who could be in danger, right? Dog nuts get what they got coming to them. No sympathy for them. But this thing has come closer to home here in the United States. Detected in the U.S. Now, what I believe is that this thing has been in the United States for a long time. Been all over the world for a long time. That's the problem. They will try their best. We always have to be mindful of this. They will try their best to keep information like this concealed. They don't want to alert dog nuts and have them taking dogs to shelters en masse, dumping their dogs off. They don't want that. So unless it's a disease that's causing you to drop dead instantly, they're not going to tell you about it. And if they do, they are going to make it sound as harmless as possible. We know how these deceptive, manipulative people are. These media people, they are professional liars, especially when they're dog nuts. You got to be a professional liar as a dog nut, period, to lie to yourself and others. But these people are in the media. You can't trust anything they say. So this parasite causes a disease similar to cancer in your liver. Canadian researchers have warned this week that a parasite or a parasitic disease similar to cancer caused by a certain species of tapeworm. Tapeworm, people. My goodness. This is exactly what we were talking about. This is what led to us saying, or to me, I think I just shared my theory with the public. My theory that, we were talking about parasites. I said, eventually there's going to be something that's going to be very bad. That's going to come through these mutts and it's going to be zoonotic. And they're going to pass it to their owners and everybody that comes into contact with them. But I believe dogs have been the source of illness for a very long time in humans. Right? I can't stress enough that ever since I stopped going around animals, and of course I stopped eating animals, I haven't been sick. That has never happened in my life, ever. All my life, far back as I can remember, I've gotten sick at least once a year. Cold or flu, sometimes twice a year. So we will never know how sick these things actually make us. But this is a tapeworm. These dog nuts contract worms from their mutts. In my opinion, almost all of them have worms, dog nuts, caused by infection with tapeworm. Allegedly, the host of these worms are wild animals such as foxes, coyotes, wolves, and domestic dogs. People, how did they possibly run this across us? Check this out. Wild animals. Why would you include domestic dogs? If I asked you to name a wild animal, you wouldn't say domestic dog. Isn't that an oxymoron or a contradiction? Does that make sense, or am I making a mistake here? They included domestic dogs. So you know what I believe? It does not infect any of these other animals at all. It's only infecting domestic dogs. How do they know that any of these other animals, wild animals, are infected with this en masse? When did they conduct this massive study on foxes, coyotes, and wolves out here? No, that is a lie. I'm telling you, listen, these people lie to us all the time, non-stop. No, this is a domestic dog parasite. And it's being passed around by these dog nuts. They do not cite any massive study where they found this among foxes, coyotes, and wolves. Stop it. Humans often become infected when they ingest microscopic eggs by eating contaminated food or by contact with other infected animals. See, you always have to finish their sentence for them. or by letting the mutt lick you in the face, lick you anywhere, or by touching the mutt. As we've gone over on this channel, people contract parasites just by touching dogs. If you're not educated on dogs and their diseases and parasites, they can run articles on you like this and totally deceive you, almost totally leave you in the dark. Specifically, these dog nuts. They'll figure, oh, well, I'm safe. You know, I haven't had contact with other infected animals. No, no. This is how you are contracting these parasites. Right here. Laying in the bed with them. Treating them like a human. Behaving like an animal yourself. That's more appropriate. Dogs are not smart enough to act like humans, no matter how much you try to treat them like one. But you're smart enough to act like a filthy animal. And that is what these dog nuts do. They stoop to the level of animals and start to behave like animals themselves. So, even among dog nuts, the biggest dog lovers will tell you that just about every dog on the planet is infested with worms to some degree. Huh? This is from dogtime.com. This is a major dog nut website. I mean, big time. Listen to this. Just about every dog. So you can reword this and remove just about. I guarantee you that. Every dog on the planet is infested with worms to some degree. People, all puppies are born with worms. These mutants naturally are infested with parasites. That's why I refer to them as parasites themselves. They're parasites with legs. If they stay at low levels, your dog can build up immunity to them. Oh, blah, blah, blah. This is stuff to comfort dog nuts. Oh, don't worry, don't worry. They always include phrases and lies like this to comfort dog nuts. But if the infestation reaches a certain point, worms can cause anemia, lethargy. See, they're talking about the side effects that the dog will encounter. They're not even talking about you. Right? So let's get into it. You have to do the research yourself. And these dog nuts are not going to do it. Here's another dog bias, dog nut website. Are puppies born with worms? Most puppies are naturally born with worms or can contract worms through drinking their mother's milk. There is no available data to say what percentage of puppies are born with worms. But vets say, listen, almost all puppies are always born with worms. So this is deceptive, all in the same paragraph. Most puppies are naturally born with worms. Well, the professionals say almost all. There's a difference there. There's a difference between most and almost all. Most is anything over 50%. Almost all is almost always over 90%. So let's get the language straight. People, we use language our whole life. Do not let these people run word games on you. They try it all the time. They're trying to confess. They're trying to tell you the truth. Oh, but they don't want to scare you. They don't want you to give up. Rover. We got to think for ourselves. The short answer is worms are very common in dogs. They are all born with worms, worm infested. As a result, they pass them on to humans. And what I believe has happened is that all this sharing parasites between mutts and humans started to mutate. And now new strands of parasites are coming into existence. This comes from this nasty dog-human relationship that they have. They rub it, kiss it, it allows them to lick on them anywhere the dog wants to lick them. And many of these dog nuts have intercourse with these dogs. That's just the type of population we're dealing with, people who have intercourse with dogs. And if they don't do that, they're extremely physical and they exchange fluids, bodily fluids with dogs. Anytime that thing licks you anywhere on your body, that is an exchange of bodily fluids. Absolutely embarrassing, disgusting. This is repulsive behavior. How disappointing. How disappointing. It makes me furious with the human species, knowing what humans are capable of when they use their brains. These people show blatant disrespect for the human brain, which is the most sophisticated organ in the universe that we know about. You know, I'm sure other intelligent species have powerful brains as well. But our brains is right there with everybody else's. I don't care how intelligent they are. We only use a small fraction of our brain. Our brain is elite level. And these people want to behave like wild animals that are instinct driven, that eat vomit, that eat excrement, drink urine. The most vile, disgusting creature on the planet, disease-ridden, parasite-ridden, bugs, fleas, all types of infestations, skin bacteria, period. How can you criticize anybody who doesn't want to be around something like this? You know, the nerve of dog nuts to criticize people who don't like dogs and don't want to be around them is laughable. You know, it's a joke. How can one organism have so many negative traits? How is it even possible? They stink. Their breath stinks. They slobber and drool all over their environment, everywhere they go. They're ugly. They're annoying. They eat excrement, drink urine, drink vomit. They're dangerous, noisy, invasive, gluttonous, and they are born with parasites. You want to exchange bodily fluids with something like that? You want to let something like that lick you in the mouth? Are you serious? Can somebody tell me what's wrong with these people? Why is it so hard for them to wake up? How much do you have to show them or tell them? It's unbelievable. I don't know how I fail to just lose hope. Cooking with dog meat. Shout out to Cooking with Dog Meat. Thank you for speaking out against these repulsive child murderers. I hope I'm saving lives. Let's hope. Let's hope we all are. You know, this channel wouldn't be anything without the contributors. Every comment is a contribution. Almost everybody who listens to the videos, most of them, before they finish listening, read the comments. Very important the comment section to these videos. There are too many pit bull advocates and not nearly enough pit bull victim advocates. I totally agree. And that is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing because many of the victims, over half the victims, were mauled or mutilated when they were children. You would think that there would be a lot of pit bull victim advocates, dog attack victim advocates, organizations that specialize in bringing awareness, like they have for dogs and dog cruelty. No, everything is about dogs. Dogs is their only concern. Unbelievable stuff. How much lower can you get as a human species? This is as low as you can possibly get. What a disgusting culture. Disgusting is an understatement. Absolutely vile. Are worms in dogs contagious to humans? Intestinal parasites are contagious to other animals and humans. Primarily are in the GI tract. Larvae, eggs are passed in feces, and as we all know, parasites will just travel right outside of your anus. And as we all know, these people let these mutts sit around on their furniture. This is why I don't enter the home of a dog lover. Well, it's one of the reasons. It's definitely not the only reason. Right? Let me rephrase that. One out of many reasons I don't go into these people's homes. Even if the dog is not there. I don't care if they put it away, they put it outside in the garage, or if it's at somebody else's house. I don't care. I'm not going to go into the dwelling of a dog. Once that dog is living in your home, that's pretty much a dog house. It's a dog house. I don't care how many times you vacuum. When you vacuum, there's always particles that just get rotated through the home. Everything is never sucked up into a bag. Much of it comes out of your filter. Disgusting. And these people allow their, they did that test where they found they measured the amount of bacteria inside dog lovers' homes. Do you know they found most of the bacteria on people's pillows? On their pillows, where they rest their heads. Unbelievable. The filth, the nastiness of this culture is unreal. Unreal. Roundworms can live in or on humans and can cause many problems. They are usually found in soil and stool and can enter the body through the mouth or direct contact with the skin. So you don't have to exchange bodily fluids. And dogs are like always wet anyways. Even their body is like oily. It's disgusting. That's why when you touch them, you can smell the dog on your hand really until you wash your hands. That bacteria and everything, oils, it's all over your hands now. That's why there's been people who've touched dogs and had to have their limbs amputated. You always exchange nastiness with a mutt when you touch them. There are several types of roundworms. Now, I don't think this is not a roundworm. This is a tapeworm. But my point is, these people are always exchanging parasites with their dogs. They contract worms from their dogs and from the food they eat, especially if they eat undercooked meat, rare steak, medium rare, and all that stuff. Yeah, even when you fully cook it, sometimes you can still contract worms. This is disgusting, man. This is from the CDC. Most people think parasitic diseases occur in poor and developing countries, or are infections they might pick up on a trip to a foreign country. However, they also occur. Now listen to this. Listen to how they word this. This is what I don't like. However, parasitic infections also occur in the United States, and in some cases affect millions of people. What are you talking about? In all cases, there are millions of Americans who have parasites in their body, worms in their body. I don't like the way they word this. They always do this. Now, what they're talking about is specific parasites, right? They will name a certain type of worm, tapeworm. This affects about 500,000 Americans. Then they go to whipworm or something. Oh, this one infects 2 million. That's why they said in some cases affects millions of people. No, when you add all of the worm carriers together, there are millions. Let's get the language straight. I don't care what type of worm it is. I don't want any type of worm in my body. Any type of worm infestation in my body is a problem. But they try to tiptoe. They want to let you down slowly and gently. They don't want to tell it how it is. Often they go unnoticed with few symptoms, but many times the infections cause serious illnesses, including seizures. Now, by the time you have seizures, that's a serious infestation. They can cause seizures, blindness, pregnancy complications. They can cause heart failure and death. Parasitic infections affect millions around the world, causing seizures, blindness, infertility, heart failure. They're more common in the US than people realize. Now, even though I don't like the way they worded this, I wanted to show you this because this is from the CDC. And you can tell there's a lot more to it than they are letting out. They're trying to tell you in a real nice way, almost all of y'all have worms. They're more common in the United States than people realize. And look, it goes on to say, and yet there is so much we don't know about them. We need research to learn more about these infections and action to better prevent. And so the experts are telling you there's a lot we don't even know about these things, these parasites. So why would you trust them? Why would you trust the same people who are telling you that they don't know? You can't find any comfort in anything they tell you as far as how safe you are or how these things affect your body. They could have a lot more or different types of impact, a different impact on your body than they even know. So they can't even tell you. These worms could be doing anything inside your body, could be causing any type of complication, and they just don't know. So wouldn't it make sense just to not have the thing in your home? More than 300,000 people in the United States are infected with this type of parasite. You see, this is where they admit. This is what I just explained. More than 300,000. There are at least 1,000 hospitalizations for a different type of parasite. You see this? So they're breaking it down. This is why they said in some cases, at least 14% of the US population has been exposed to this parasite. Listen to this. I mean, check this out. More than 60 million people in the United States are chronically infected with this parasite. They're trying to tell you, people, they're trying to tell you in the nicest, most harmless way possible. You just have to pay attention. Here, let me do this. I got to do this because this information here is just a little too juicy. It's a little too important. I got to hammer this home. The CDC, just like every other pro-dog source, they are very deceptive. New infections, pregnant women, can cause birth defects, right? And look, 3.7 million people in the United States are infected with this parasite. Are y'all following this? Are you following this? Millions upon millions. Who do you think these millions of people are? They're dog nuts. These are dog nuts. They are sharing worms with dogs. That is what's happening. That is the major, probably the primary source of worms in humans. They're coming from these mutts. Now, this is from Stanford University, right? I'm going to the most credible sources here. Parasitic worm diseases afflict some 1.5 billion people in the developing world. Billion. Right? Let me underline. Let me put that in bold lettering. Let me put that in red lettering. Causing gastrointestinal problems, anemia, wasting, cognitive and growth deficits in children. It impairs their growth. What are we talking about here? Dogs do all this via their parasites, but let's ignore the parrot. Dogs do this. I mean, heart failure, growth deficits, cognitive and growth deficits. People, cognitive. You have thinking problems. Dogs, according to Stanford University, cause thinking problems. They impair, literally impair, your ability to think. Right? Just keep in mind that they have already admitted that there's so much that they don't know. About 150,000 people died from complications from these parasitic infections every year. Unreal. This is unreal. Inside of most people's intestines, in the walls of their stomachs, this is what it looks like. And this is only one type of worm. There are many different types of worm. Many of them are very long, as I showed in previous videos. Unbelievable. And you ask a dog nut, is it worth it? Of course, they're going to say, yeah. Now, many of you, I know some of you who you're not fans of dogs. You're not a dog nut. You don't like dogs, some of them. Some of you still will date someone who's a dog lover. I've seen the comments, at least on Reddit, where say, oh, I hate dogs, but my girlfriend has a dog. You know, my boyfriend loves his dog. I hate him. Okay, this is for all of those people. You need to be mindful of this information. Of course, we know parasites can be passed from dogs to humans through licking. See, See how you'll find some sources who will just come out and admit it, and others who will hide it behind this deceptive language. Check this out. What happens if worms are left untreated in humans? In rare cases, if the infestation is left untreated, pinworm infections can lead to a urinary tract infection in women. Pinworms can travel from the anus to the vagina, affecting the uterus, fallopian tubes, and other pelvic organs. So if you want to date a dog nut, just understand that just because that dog is not in the room, the home with you, you are not free from that dog. You're still going to exchange parasites and bodily fluids with that dog, even if the dog is not there. The dog essentially turns you into a dog. It passes all its disgustingness to its owner. Its owner passes it to you. Shout out to Ashar Chaos. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. In a voice inspiring others to do the same, your content speaking up for the children of dog nuts was healing for me. Yeah, and it gets difficult sometimes. But at the same time, I gain motivation because I feel like I'm the only voice out here. I know I'm not, but it starts to feel, even knowing that there's like Reddit, dog free, dogbites.org. There's so few of us that it feels lonely. It's like, man, we don't have the mainstream media behind us. Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. Shout out to Ashley Blackburn as well. Very much appreciated your support. People, this may result in other infections. Now, what is vaginitis? An endometritis. What? Endometritis. You know what? Since, hey, I read it, we have to find out what that is. Okay, here we go. I think they spelled it wrong. Oh my. Oh my. That does not look good. A painful disorder in which tissue, similar to the tissue that normally lines inside of your uterus, grows outside of your uterus. Oh my. Okay. All right, you hear that? Ladies, gentlemen. What's the other one? Oh my goodness. This is terrible. Okay, what is this? Inflammation of the vagina that can result in discharge, itching, and pain. Wow. Like, this is caused by the parasites, the worms that come from these mutts. So just be warned. You want to date a dog nut? You're basically dating a dog, in a sense, for the most part. You're laying up with a dog yourself. Now, dog nuts. I know this is tough information for you to hear. You don't want to hear it. But here's something else that I know you don't want to hear. This is bad. You're talking about a deadly disease that attacks your liver. It's like cancer. They compared it to cancer. We know about the disease Campylobacter that causes sepsis, and you need your limbs amputated. We know about several very harmful diseases, bacteria that come from dogs. right? Let's not even deal with the ferociousness, how violent dogs are, right? Dealt with that in the most recent live streams. We're just dealing with how nasty these things are. If you ignore how dangerous dogs are and just focus on this type of nastiness, it's still not worth it. I mean, it's not even a debate. Whatever creature you're talking about, I don't want it in my home. I don't want it in my home at all. I want to stay as far away from it as possible, whatever you're talking about. So dogs are not worth the risk. It's that simple. And on top of that, dog nuts, your dog does not love you. Here are some telltale signs that someone is incapable of love. They have no accountability or responsibility for their mistakes or wrongdoing. This is another way of saying that they have no remorse. They cannot feel guilt. You look up any signs of someone being incapable of loving, you're going to find this somewhere. That they have no sense or connection with guilt. They don't feel guilt. Like I said, you have to be able to feel guilt. It's a complex emotion. You have to feel guilt in order to love. Because again, you cannot claim to love someone and not feel guilty if you harm them. Dogs never feel guilty, even if they attack you. You, the owner, the one who's been feeding them. You remember that woman who brought in a stray pit bull, this white pit bull, and it started attacking her, and it was all caught on film. As the dog was mauling her, she said that she tried to remind the dog that, hey, I'm the one who's been feeding you and taking care of you. That's what she said. So that mutt had no remorse or guilt after it attacked her. In fact, when she went into the room, she said the dog stayed at the door, scratching at the door, trying to get in so that it can continue attacking her. Predators cannot feel guilt. And if you cannot feel guilt, you cannot love. Your mutts do not love you. Some of you might refer to the way a dog will drop their head when you yell at them. You're upset. A lot of dog websites, pro dog websites, they talk about this. Do dogs feel guilt or shame? Truth is, while there's no scientific evidence that dogs actually feel guilt or shame, there's also no proof that they don't. Yeah, right. Now, this is dog nuttery at its highest level. The highest level with that statement. Proof that they don't is that they attack people. They don't feel guilt. It's been scientifically proven. In the study, dogs acted guilty when scolded by their owners, regardless of whether they had actually committed the act for which they were being scolded. Now, this is dog nuttery deception at the highest level. At the highest level. Because when you go to other more reputable sources, they will talk about how, one, dogs cannot feel guilt, and that they do this only in response to your hostility. They drop their head, they sort of bow down, stoop down. People, do you know all predators do that? Lions do that. They do that when they submit to you. It's a gesture of submitting. Has nothing to do with the fact that dogs have lived around humans for so many years. They've figured out what humans will calm humans down. They have a bunch of rhetoric they're going to throw us. No, animals do that when they submit. It's primarily predators. Lions, tigers do the same thing, and canines do the same thing. Tree hugger. 74% of dog owners believe their dogs experience guilt. But animal behaviorists say dogs lack the ability to feel shame. Dogs cannot feel embarrassed. They cannot. They cannot feel shame. Y'all know that. They're just dumb entities acting on impulse. Like I said, they're just a collection of neurons and nerves firing away. There's no humanness about them. That guilty look is simply a reaction to you. There's plenty of evidence that mutts experience primary emotions, such as fear and happiness. There's little evidence that they feel secondary emotions, like pride, jealousy, and guilt. You know dogs don't feel pride. Jealousy, now you can play around with that. Not sure if it's jealousy. But if the dog all of a sudden sees you have a child, it views that child as competition for food. Just like it would view another dog. Oh no, I'm not going to share food with you. Everything is all about food with dogs. So no, I wouldn't call that jealousy either. It's instinct, impulsive. Protect food, all food for me. You have to go. And they attack you. Secondary emotions require self-awareness and a level of cognition that dogs don't have. Right? We all know that. But this is a problem. A huge problem. This is a list of worms that you can get from your dog, or zoonotic diseases. A lot of them are worms. Ringworm, salmonella, leptospirosis, Lyme disease, campylobacter. And this is the disease that causes sepsis, where you need to have your limbs amputated. This is disgusting. So basically, dogs, in a nutshell, they're just a big living disease. A walking, barking, licking infection. They're just disease-ridden, and they look disease-ridden. Anything that has its face sagging, face drooping, melting off of its skull, gowls, its mouth is hanging down, sagging, it's drooling everywhere, it's looking around constantly, spit splashing everywhere, face hanging, flopping, swinging in the air. You can look at something and tell that it's not safe, that it's disease. It looks disease-ridden. Ears that have mutated and hanging, sagging down. Everything about dogs is hanging and sagging because they're mutants. They can hardly breathe. They're snorting, running out of breath, scared of everything, jumping, looking around at every little sound. They act like disease-ridden creatures. This is almost hilarious, to be honest. Now, I saved this video. I thought this was funny. This is terrible. This is terrible stuff, people. I see people laughing. This is terrible, though. But this is funny, look, because hopefully, but we could contract this stuff from these people. This is why I don't touch people. Like, I don't shake hands. I'm a germaphobe. You know, I run it down to them. Look, I'm a germaphobe. I don't care if they think I'm mental. That's fine, as long as you don't touch me. Shout out to Morpheus Christus. It's a shame how these beautiful women are drawn to the most disgusting creatures on earth. Yes, that is very heartbreaking. I know what you go through. A lot of these guys, I know what they go through. They see a very attractive woman, and she's in a photo with a very disgusting, ugly mutant. And she's making the mutant the highlight of the photo. I understand. It's terrible. Mind-blowing stuff. So I saved this. I saved this video. Check this out. These are chickens. And he just came home. And the chickens are running up to him. Why? Because he is a giver of food. And these chickens are ready to eat. Right? Right? Their food dispenser just came home. This is not love. This is not affection. No, it's none of that. It's animal instinct. See, when dogs do this, they call it love. Oh, Rover's happy to see me. He loves me. Love, love, love. Our use of words is so dangerous. It's so dangerous because it shapes their perception of reality. Call them fur babies. These are my kids. And like I said, they start to treat these animals like humans, children, which is extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. Now, I read this really good article. If you Google any phrase, any portion of this, that article will come up. I couldn't find it. But this was a portion of her article. She said, pets are not family. Are we really comparing a human who has grown from our own bodies, who was educated and protected to adulthood, who will outlive us and pass on a legacy, with an animal we bought that has a lifespan and intelligence only a fraction of that? Look, she did not get deep enough with that. Are we comparing our kids with a disgusting mutant like that? With a gutter worthless to the planet, 100%, a cancer to the planet. Dogs are a cancer to the planet itself and a cancer to every living thing on the planet. I mean, my goodness, their urine kills plant life. This is not an exaggeration. These things bring nothing but negativity. Even worse, I'm continuing with this article. Even worse, listen to this. Even worse in my mind is the language of adopting our pets. See, this goes back to what I was saying. We got to be careful with our language. The language these people use is very dangerous. Said, I applaud anyone who goes to an animal shelter and picks up an unwanted pet. See, this is even sound like a dog nut herself. She says it's beautiful. But children are adopted, not dogs. From what I know of adopted families, there are struggles enough without trying to explain the difference to a very literal 5-year-old between their adoption and the dog's adoption. So if you adopt a child and then they hear you say that you've adopted a dog, what do you think is going to go on in that child's mind? You literally put the child on the dog's level. Right? This has been talked about before. That language. saying that you adopt a dog. No, you adopt children, humans. What if you have biological children in this home and the adopted kid hears the same language being used only for him and the dog? Think about that. The human child will ask, will they take me back? Right? Like they take the dog back. Am I a pet? Am I a dog? Another example of how these people live in like this delusional world, disconnected from reality. They make believe almost on a constant basis. Make believe it's a child. Make believe it loves me. Make believe it is, impressed with my personality. That's a real important one with these dog nuts. They really want to believe that the dog enjoys their character and personality the same way a human does. That's why you notice a lot of these dog nuts, they're idiots. They are buttholes. They're very nasty, rude people. And they can't get humans to really like and adore them. So they pretend that the dog does. And you notice these are a lot of times very vile people, or they're just extremely brain dead. The type of people who most humans would not adore and be fascinated over, So they go to the dog and they live in this fantasy world. Fur babies, even the dog nuts who are sociable and they can communicate well with others. There's still some narcissism there. They just have to constantly be admired. And the power they get from owning a mutt, being in control of its life, when it eats, being this master, they just get off on it. But all the while, they're living in this fantasy world. Some people take it further and group their dogs in with their kids, calling the newborn baby, a newborn human, the sister or brother of the dog. And we all know all of these dog nuts do that, every last one of them. I don't care if you find one or two who don't. The exception is not the rule. And I'm willing to bet the rule is almost 100%. This is what they do. It's part of their culture. This is your brother. This is your sister. She says one of her favorite bloggers does it. And she said, it is really adorable. And then she said, but that's exactly what's dangerous about it. Dangerous to project the idea that a dog is the brother or sister of your children. Because then you're going to do what? Leave them alone. Let them play together. Get them around each other. Like we just watched, really, in almost all of the live streams. We've seen this. We just saw a few examples in the most recent live stream this past weekend. The language they use starts to play out in their behavior, and they start to treat these dogs like human kids. And that is what is dangerous. That is what I want to bring attention to. She ends it, she says, the words we use can shape our perception of reality. Let me correct this sentence and remove the word can. The words we use shape our perception of reality. There is no can. They do. 100% always shape our perception of reality. So that is where we need to start. because the very description of dogs from these dog nuts needs to be checked. Fur babies? No. Your dogs are your kids? No. You're going to adopt a dog? No. Everything about this culture, this dog nut culture, is blatantly flawed. It's like, it's not even, subliminal. It's blatant. Everything they do is so blatant. And they feel so entitled. They behave as if they know they're extremely protected. The way they brought those kids around an adopted pit bull, a grown adopted pit bull, leaving the kids alone with it, letting the kids pull its ears. This is blatant child endangerment. But they don't have a care in the world because we have kept our mouths shut. Those of us who object to it, who disagree with it, they've been able to get away. And look, this dog nut culture has only been around for what? The past 40, 50 years. It's not too late. It's still relatively early in its development. Now is the perfect time to call it out. Now is the perfect time for us to emerge on the scene, on social media. So we have to put a stop to this disgusting, infuriating culture. Please be safe out there. This Parasite sounds very unfriendly. This is dangerous stuff. You don't want to play with this. You don't want to play with this. Talking about your liver growing cancer, tumors, and this will kill you. This will kill you. These articles were published within the past week. This is very new. Just a few days ago, both of these were published. I believe this one was published today. So this is new news. So if you have not been mindful of not touching people, I think now is a good time to be mindful. Don't touch. If you know they're a dog nut, definitely don't touch them. Right? I advise people to become a bit of a germaphobe themselves because this is crazy. This is the madness. The world that these dog nuts have created. We wouldn't have to do all this if it were not for them. These nasty, they insist on being disgusting. And they're totally comfortable with it. It's unbelievable stuff. Now I want to give the floor to Judge Judy. At least in regard to pit bulls. Because I hate pit bulls. I hate these big, vicious dogs. Pit bulls, Rottweilers, really those boxers, any of those big dogs, German Shepherds, I hate them the most. But pit bulls have a unique spot in my heart when it comes to hatred, pure hatred. And Judge Judy used to speak out against pit bulls all the time. And I think this is a good way to close this stream. Listen to this.
No, ma'am, they're not.
You have dangerous dogs.
No, ma'am, they're not.
Yes, they are. Read newspapers.
She said, no, ma'am, they're not. Judge Judy said, you got dangerous dogs. This pit bull nut said, no, they are not.
You have dangerous dogs.
No, ma'am, they're not.
Yes, they are. Read newspapers. Go on Google. Read about it. If you choose to have two pit...
Now, so much to unpack, people. We're only a few seconds in. Do you know why Judge Judy said that? She said that because when you are determining whether or not a specific breed is dangerous, you go by statistics and nothing else. Not your individual experience with the mutt. You go by stats. And most of these dog nuts don't even know that.
Pit bulls, you are responsible for any damage that they do to other animals. 2 pit bulls. If you choose to have 2 pit bulls, you are responsible for any damage that they do to other animals or to human beings when they get let out. Do you understand me?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand me? You choose to have dogs that can cause serious damage, that have killed children, that have maimed adults, that have killed adults. You want to put yourself and your children in that position. This country allows you to do that. This country, however, does not allow you to visit your stupidity on others.
Oh my. Notice how the pit bull nut has nothing to say. I love this, man. I love this. This should be happening more often. More people should be putting these people on the spot like this. You choose to put your kid's life at risk. For what? Unbelievable. Beautiful footage here.
Children in that position. This country allows you to do that. This country, however, does not allow you to visit your stupidity on others. Do I make myself clear? Clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Do that, ma'am. I have my own little dog myself. I would never.
This is not a little dog.
I know it's not
This
a
is
little.
not a little dog. This is a white pit bull with puppies. That's a triple whammy. I don't want to hear from all you pit bull lovers out there. I don't care. Listen to me. I think anybody that keeps pit bulls are crazy. Okay? I also think that...
She said anybody who keeps pit bulls are crazy. Judge Judy used to go in on these pit bull nuts. I mean, it was classic material.
Listen to me. I think anybody that keeps pit bulls are crazy. Okay? I also think that people that don't take care of their dogs. So I don't believe that.
But what is a pit bull? That's irrelevant. What kind of dog that is?
Oh, no, it isn't. Oh, in your head, it's
That's like telling me that my child is in the wrong because my child is black and that child is white. So that child is okay. A pit bull, a breed has nothing to do with
All right, here we
Yo, so she compared discrimination against pit bulls with racism, right? That's the trick she tried to pull on Judge Judy.
go. Do you know how many letters I get every day from people who are either maimed or have family members killed by pit bulls? No, listen to me. Killed by pit bulls. Not poodles, not dachshunds, not golden retrievers, pit bulls. If you choose to have a dog, has a reputation of being dangerous. Reputation. Don't make this a race thing. This has nothing to do with race.
No.
This has to do with stupid people owning dogs that they know have a dangerous propensity. My 3-year-old beloved grandson is lying.
Oh, my goodness. My goodness. It's not rocket science. You choose to own creatures that you know. I mean, pit bulls are the minority. They make up a small percentage. I think less than 10% of the total dog population. This is something like 3 or 5%, something like that. Yet they account for 65, 70% of serious injuries. Right? The most serious injuries, 65, 70, 75% of deaths. There's no arguing that. You cannot argue that. I showed that article where there were multiple doctors, physicians, who talked about how almost every time there was a bad dog attack where the patient needed serious reconstructive surgery, they said almost every time it was a pit bull that did that. Even though they only make up some, 3-5% of the total dog population. I have a special hatred for pit bulls and their owners. They're enabling brain dead, menace to society enablers. So aside from the dangers that they possess, you can't even expect these people to respond accordingly to the health risk. Because if they don't care about their physical health, their physical safety and well-being, you can guarantee they don't care about the inside of their body. They don't care about parasites. You understand? We're dealing with bona fide sociopaths, a group of like zombie-like people who just don't care about anybody's life, their own or their kids. These are the craziest psychopaths on this planet, easily. So be safe out there. Please be safe out there. It is chaotic at this point. We are reaching this is the breaking point, right? We're at the crossroads, people. This is as high as it gets. A new strand of parasites running through the dog and human population, one that attacks your liver. Do you know how many parasites that are dangerous that they may not even know about right now? We have to function as if there is something deadly, much more deadly than COVID, going around amongst these dog lovers. We have to treat these people like disease-ridden people. There was a movie, I think it's called Parasite, right? I haven't even watched it yet. I need to watch some of these movies. These like movies about deadly viruses running through the human population. Let me see. Parasite. I saw let me get a screenshot. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I need to watch this. I know there's some good stuff. Is it in? Oh, no. I'm sure they got the English version, but it looks like it might be. I'm going to watch this. But this is where we are. This is where we are right now, people. It's an epidemic, a silent one. I think much worse than COVID-19. But think about it. Like I said, if there is an epidemic worse than COVID-19 and it's directly related to dogs, guess what? They're not going to share that information. They're going to protect dogs by all means. They do not want people getting rid of their dogs en masse. That means we are in the most dangerous. Do not touch anybody. Don't touch these people. Wash your hands. Wash everything you touch. Right? It is out of hand at this point. Right? So until the weekend, right? That's my rant for tonight. Be safe. I want to thank everyone who joined this stream. It was a fairly packed stream. And I will see you all this weekend as we continue with this merciless crusade against these worthless, disease-ridden, nasty, ugly mutants and their enabling owners.